That's okay. It's all good. I was pleased with the journey.
Good evening, everybody. It's 5:30. I'd like to call the meeting for March 5th to order of the Logan City Council. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I can't believe it's March already. Hopefully it's going to
Doesn't feel like spring yet.
go out like a lamb. But anyway, thanks again, everyone, for being here. I would like to introduce Randy Williams, who's going to lead us in our opening ceremony tonight. Thanks, Randy.
Annie, where do I stand to do this?
Right there, right at the
Is this a
podium.
microphone?
Yep, it
Okay,
is.
well, I'll stand right here. Hi, everybody. I apologize. My back's going to be to some of you. Hello, Mayor Daines and Amy and the rest of the Logan City Council and other dignitaries and such. My name is Randy Williams. I am the immediate past president of the Cash Refugee and Immigrant Connection. And Councilwoman and Chair Amy Anderson asked me to tell you a little bit about Crick's Story Circle and our International Women's Day event, which will be on Friday. The UN has International Women's Day every year, and it's typically in the first week of March. It's this Friday. And this year's theme is Celebrate Women, Accelerate Progress. And the Crick Story Circle started in the summer of 2021. We had just come out of COVID, but we were still really heavily involved with working with the health department. When I say we, I'm talking about Crick. And we were in a meeting with the health department's Refugee Services Office and the Logan Bearville Health Department and then Crick folks. And the folks that were on this call were myself and my partner in this endeavor, Terhas Tafiri and Halima Ali, who are the other two founding board members. And I'm sorry they couldn't join us tonight, but they're both community health workers, and they usually work till 7 p.m., and they're both working right now. And so they both send their wishes to you. And just briefly, the Story Circle started with the idea that the most vulnerable, and this is actually from peer-reviewed journals, that the most vulnerable women in the world are refugee and immigrant women. And we realized that some of the women in our community that are refugees, new Americans, parolees, asylees, immigrants, have a lot of PTSD. And so we thought, what would be something that would be normalizing? And so we started the Story Circle. It was Terhas's idea. Out of a lot of her master's work, she recognized that having the opportunity for women to tell their own stories with each other in an environment that was safe and pretty women inclusive. And so we started doing that. We met at the Willow Park. We met adjacent to a group of knitters, and it just felt very cozy down there. So we've been doing that now quite a few years, and we hold once a year a big celebration. And the first year we honored the Somali community with food and dance. The next year was Eritrean Ethiopian community. And this year we're just kind of doing something really unique. We got monies from quite a few different people, small amounts, but we actually got a large fund from JBS. And we were able to hire 3 new American caterers to cater the event, so that's been exciting. And just one takeaway from this, all of us in this room would need a docent or someone to help us if we found ourselves in a new environment. And probably many of us have done that. We've been traveling, we've been somewhere and someone tells us really one of the best places to eat, or maybe a great place to visit, or a safe place to go. And so with New American women, sometimes those women can share their own stories with each other about how they are making things work. And I would highlight as examples Halima Ali and Terhas, who both have done that and now are working with the health department as community health workers. Thank you for asking us to share this. And now please stand with me to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
When and where, if people would like to attend?
Well, I tell people it's like a birthday party. You probably wouldn't ask me to come to your grandchild's birthday party because you don't know my grandchild. We definitely love people to participate, and we have invited quite a few women to come, but we are trying to keep it pretty safe, and so we really try to make it about 80% New American, and we anticipate about 120 women coming to the event. It's in a church in North Logan, and we held it there every year. It's this Friday, and I think we'll put a few pictures out on the CRIC website after the fact. And maybe someday we'll open it to everybody, but I think you can appreciate why we do what we do. Thank you, and now Terry and I are going to our caucus.
Okay.
And that's actually something this group may want to discuss. This is the first year it's been on a Tuesday night, so we may want to make some adjustments for rules in the future that maybe in the month, and it'll be every other year, that maybe the group, we only want to have one meeting so people can attend that. Again,
Yeah, I know, Trenton moved theirs off of tonight because of that. I did my absentee. I guess I shouldn't disclose my political affiliation. But, there were ways people could participate, but I agree, it's probably something that we should have, it's kind of snuck up on us.
Is
Right.
it going to be always on a Tuesday now?
they've changed, like I say, they've changed the state procedure. This is the first year. It's never been on it's like now that we're on the Super Tuesday date, the caucuses are.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Well, they don't have a Super Tuesday every 2 years, do they?
it's every,
It's every 4 years.
maybe it's
For
now.
presidential elections, I don't think they have Super Tuesday for interim
Yeah, I think it's just
elections.
the federal.
Yeah.
It's just the federal.
Put on your calendar for 28.
I won't sit here, trust me. I will not.
Come on, Amy.
Come on, Amy.
You will have been a turn, it'll be a roundabout.
I have an announcement to make. No, just kidding. At this time, I'll accept a motion for the acceptance of the minutes and the approval of tonight's agenda.
I'll move we approve the minutes. On the agenda. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Mr. Shipping.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I remember.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are accepted and the agenda for tonight is approved. Just a reminder that we do always meet on the first and third Tuesday of every month here at 5:30 in the lovely Logan Council Chambers. Our next meeting will be March 19th. At this time, we'll open up the floor and the microphone for questions and comments for the mayor and the council. I'd just like to remind people that this is a public arena, and so we do carry an expectation of decorum and civility. So if you do have something to come and address the council on, we'd welcome you to come. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Make sure that you have signed in outside. And I know there's been some confusion about the fact that as a council that we're not open to answering questions. I think the issue isn't that we're not open to answering your questions. It's just that our protocol is that we're here to listen. We're here to listen to your questions and your comments. And then we will make sure that an answer gets back to you as it indicates on the agenda, that they'll be turned over to staff to provide a response outside of council time. So we definitely do want to hear questions and comments. But just in the interest of time, I've made the decision that we're going to kind of just keep this at that way and just make sure that everybody is followed up with in an appropriate way. So that being said, those of you who would like to come and address the council, please do so. Oh, we have new timers over here on the table.
Who's the timer?
Craig is the timer.
They're for us.
Are you gonna do it
They're for us.
legally, perfectly?
So that we can stay focused, I've asked Craig if he'll be the one who's in charge of keeping the time.
I'll try to keep it under 30, 3 minutes, but
30 minutes?
We can do it under 30 minutes.
30 minutes. I'm Josh Muller from Logan. This right here was the last sign that I hung up for you guys. But in case you didn't notice, which you probably didn't, down here I've actually put in a disclosure saying that this is not real. Because I can't be bought and I can't be, I'm not greedy and I'm not addicted to money. So I cannot be bought, not even $4 million, not even for more. Just so letting you guys know. I want to start with saying that I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's no such thing as ethical billionaires. There's no such thing. I don't know if any of you have noticed that Logan, a few months ago, was rated #1 in having the biggest poverty rating in the state of Utah. We still rank #1. While that's happening, we've had an administration focused on resorts and overpriced high-density living. This administration's focus over the past 5 to 6 years has been towards investors' profit margins with these REITs, real estate investment trusts. That's what all the developers are doing here. At the same time, we are adding housing to the market. Rent prices have increased by up to 50% for some. Me personally, my rent's gone up 35%. I believe this was done with the help of the Cache County Housing Crisis Task Force. Because if you notice that the developers and the real estate agents that are on that, that are a part of that, are the same developers and a lot of the real estate agents that are here in Logan. Let's see. Most of the city council have helped these companies with exploitation, fleecing, and preying off of those that cannot afford to buy a home. This administration has done more for giving wealthy people and companies deductions through donations, property value increases, and fame for the wealthy. The Law Plaza is proof of this. The Law Plaza was mostly funded by the people with a majority of opposition. It benefits those who are lucky enough to own property on Main Street and in that small area. It's a pay to play with no real benefit to the people, not like the Merlin Olsen skating rink, which was a community that it's been around for a long time. It was more beneficial to the people than the Law Plaza. Is it?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
You got it quiet over there, Craig.
Is it public comment time? All right, my name's Erin Bennett. I live in the Woodruff neighborhood. And I actually am coming here today with a potential solution to the bag ban. So when that arose again during my campaign, or the lack thereof, the bag ban, the lack of acting on the will of the people who overwhelmingly since 2018 have wanted to enact a plastic bag ban in Logan City, but Logan City Council decided to rescind it because it was too much trouble. I believe the argument was because businesses from other cities did not want to do it, but Logan City Council doesn't represent businesses from other cities to represent Logan City residents, who there again overwhelmingly want to protect our children from the harmful effects of microplastics in the environment, which has been stated multiple times. So I called Moab because they do have a 10-cent bag fee down there, and they have a voluntary bag ban, which would be super simple for us to do. So just enact, an ordinance that businesses who want to can start charging 10 cents for their bags. And the woman that I spoke with, she said that about half their businesses do it and half of them don't. And people who want to reduce microplastics can just shop at the places that offer that, and there again, let the invisible hand of the marketplace do its work. Thanks.
Thanks, Erin. So did you get that information just from the Moab? Did you call their?
Yeah.
Okay.
I spoke so much to their city office.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
So I'm no longer employed with the city, so I'm just gonna leave this here with you guys. I don't want to spend too much time here since I don't like it here. But if you guys don't mind if I use a pre-recorded response. But anyways.
Can you state your name too for the record?
My name is Matthew Patoesi. I live here.
Thank you.
My dad's condom broke in 97. Now I exist so I can pay bills and have crippling depression. They said congrats on being born. Now get a job, you lazy capitalist whore. They say they care if you live or die. They just need your labor, it's all a lie. I live to work, my dreams get shot. And if I kill myself, it's an employment. So it's a 9 to 5 till death, or it's a minimum wage gig where you won't get fed and you start to hate the whole human race for not fixing this world before it's too late. They say they care if you live or die. They just need your labor, it's all a lie. I live to work, my dreams get shot. And if I kill myself, it's an employment cost. You missed your kid's birthday, it was only last week. The office stay late, now you're falling asleep at the wheel. They say they care if you live or die. They just need your labor, it's all a lie. I live to work, my dreams get shot. And if I kill myself, it's an employment cost.
How much time do I have left?
A minute.
I'm just gonna use it for what I want at the moment. But yeah, I just really hope you guys learn that life really sucks. So if you guys are having it happy and go lucky, there might be something that needs to be addressed there that your perspectives are missing. I don't know. Come up with ideas on the spot, be a little impromptu, because what you're doing now is static, boring, and it's all get out, and it's getting people killed. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Matthews. Anybody else here for public comment?
Good evening. My name is Roger Yost. I live on First East between 2nd and 3rd South. So I drive up and down First East quite often. Some people say that Utah drivers are not very good. I've driven all around this country and they're okay. People are okay. There might be a few out there that the roads would be better without them, but yeah, most people are okay. On Federal Avenue, this is a big bugaboo for me, I guess, as it comes out on First East. There are still people that will pull over to the right to turn left, since it's a one-way street. It would be really nice to have some kind of a marker delineating that. If you pull to the left, you turn left. You pull to the right, you turn right. And it would allow those people that are not good drivers to have some kind of direction. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roger.
Great comment. I do think it was driving it.
Anybody else? All right, seeing no one, I will move it back to the rest of our agenda. We'll start with the mayor and staff reports. Mayor Daines?
All right, we have several board appointments this evening. Actually, the first one is to the Logan River Golf Advisory Board, and it is a reappointment. Rick Johnson has served and is willing to serve another term. So I would recommend that the council ratify him. And then the Solid Waste Advisory Committee is a new board because we've separated from the county. We used to have a countywide Solid Waste Advisory Board. Now it will be a Logan City Advisory Committee. And the three names, Scott Salisbury, R. Ryan DuPont, and Josh Runhar, have agreed to be on that board. We also have a council member, Mark Anderson, will be on that board. The mayor will serve on that board. So again, simply asking for council ratification on those appointments.
I'll move for ratification of your nominations, Mayor.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of ratifying Rick Johnson to the Logan River Golf Advisory Board and Scott Salisbury, Ryan DuPont, and Josh Rumauer to the Solid Waste Advisory Committee, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? They are affirmed.
Thank you. Item B on the agenda, Logan City Police Department has just received a reaccreditation. This is a very rigorous process, and Chief Simmons will give us a little background on that, and then I believe we have a presentation.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. Every 5 years, we go through basically an audit, an evaluation. We've all been through employee evaluations. Well, this is an evaluation of our department. And the Utah Chiefs of Police Association, they're the ones who send up independent auditors to check our facilities, to check our processes, our procedures, our best practices, to make sure that we are in compliance with a set of standards that are healthy for police nationwide. And I think he's going to tell us that we've passed. I'm pretty sure he will. So if not, this could be quite embarrassing.
One thing. The special litigation section is coming to investigate you guys? Are you aware the special litigation section is
Aaron,
coming to investigate them?
please stop disrupting the meeting. Thank you.
It was a question.
So
No one's answered the question about all the misconduct and the crime.
Aaron,
please
please stop disrupting the meeting. This is not a time for public comment. This is time for
Then
Jeff.
why don't you answer me? Like, you will not respond to me. How come Tanya Ryan hasn't been charged for her crimes yet?
Aaron, you're going to have to be asked to leave the meeting if you don't stop
You
disrupting.
can ask me to leave,
Okay, then I'm asking you to leave
and
if
I'm
you
not
can't
gonna
be
leave.
disruptive.
No. We need an answer. You guys just keep coming up here and making shit up as if you're doing, like, as if you can't just lie. And these guys are lying to you.
Aaron,
You're
I'm
all
asking
lying.
you for the last time to please stop disrupting the
No.
proceedings and
I'm
please leave the
asking you for
meeting.
the last time to answer the question about the crime of Logan City Police Department. When you answered, you sent me lies.
At this time,
And
is
you know
there,
they're lies.
would the council anyone like to make a motion
I
regarding
don't give
the
a
disruption?
fuck about your motion. Give no fucks about your motion.
Removal of.
You guys are just making shit up.
Do we have a second
You
for
can't
the
just create
ejection?
reality out of your words.
I'll second.
What are you,
Okay.
okay. Are you guys
Okay,
gonna drag me
we
out?
do need a majority vote, so those in favor of
This is
ejecting?
not even your house. This is the people's house. This is America.
Those in favor
This
of
is my
ejecting?
house.
Aaron Barrett?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, at this time, Aaron, we'd ask you to leave.
Are you gonna carry me?
we don't want.
You know what? How about you cooperate with me?
At this time, council meeting is taking a
You answer
recess.
the question about all the crime, the trafficking of children, the fucking rape that you guys are letting going on, the trafficking of women, the exploitation of women. You've not answered one question. What about Larry Orduno? He beat the fuck out of Amy and actually killed her babies. Killed her babies. And you haven't answered any of the questions. That's the no, you haven't. The answer was all lies. What? No, we'll wait till the feds get here. Have you seen the special litigation section emails that they sent me? No. You need to answer the question. It's a B misdemeanor. Disrupting this public meeting is a B misdemeanor. Okay. You're a disgrace. You're a disgrace. Logan City Fire Department is also shackled children. Cache County Attorney's Office is aware of it.
Where do we need to go to comments? I'm trying to make sense.
Except for elementary school. Yeah.
I think they're still getting her out. Craig's. And that's to come back.
You just bring us back in session.
Calling the meeting back to order. Again, since our meetings are held in a public arena, we do expect that they'll be carried out with decorum and civility. I'm sorry that this had to happen today. And we will move on to the spring cleanup program until the chief is back, or here he is.
All right. Do you want a minute, or do you want to go ahead with the accreditation? I can move on to the next.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so as we were saying, every 5 years we go through this accreditation or this audit process. Director Val Shoup, he's the Executive Director of Utah Chiefs of Police Association. He's in charge of that audit, and they hold us to a certain number of standards. I think it's like 180 standards that are police standards nationwide. It's a rigorous process. In fact, it's kind of a pain in the butt sometimes. I'll be honest about that, Val. But I brought Lieutenant Davis here because he did the bulk of the work on this. I'm not going to stand up here and take the credit for this when it was Mr. Davis who did most of the work. He really worked hard on this for several months, so appreciate your efforts on this. So whatever good things that Val has to say about the police department because of this, point at that man right there. So thank you, Val.
Mayor, City Council, it's an honor to be here to represent the Utah Chiefs of Police Association with regards to the accreditation. So you know, Logan, this is their third. They had their initial way back when this was first started, which was a long time ago. Things have progressed significantly. We have 29 entities in the state of Utah, or cities, that are accredited. There are 108 police departments, and we're at 29 now that are accredited. The Department of Public Safety is actually going to be accrediting the Utah Highway Patrol here within the next month. So we're very proud of these cities. We have 3 universities, one of those being Utah State University, who's accredited. And Logan has been kind of at the forefront of this from the beginning. And as he mentioned, this is a tedious process. It is, they don't take this lightly. There are 169 standards that they're required to maintain. And they have to be in accordance with federal law, state law, city ordinances. And we come through and we check, and they have to show us examples that they are adhering to those. And they have an assessment that's done. They come up, they go through the evidence room, they go through all the protocols that are required, and then they're accredited by the Utah Chiefs of Police Association after going through a commission hearing. Members of that commission hearing are Department of Public Safety, the Utah Chiefs of Police Association, 2 attorneys, and a citizen that sits on that, and CCJJ. They go through that process, and they're asked questions, and they have to fill that protocol. So we're very pleased to be here to make this presentation to Logan City. They're at the forefront of this, and we're very appreciative of the fact that they adhered to all the standards that they did. So having said that, I'll read to you what it says on this plaque. It goes in wherever they decide they want to put it. We'll hope they'll put it in a place where the public can see it and see that they are an accredited standard police department. Logan Police Department approved and accredited in recognition for the completion of the standards for certification and accreditation as prescribed and mandated by the Utah Chiefs of Police Association, January of 2024. Chief? Congratulations.
We just want to thank Val for that. He came up all the way from Salt Lake City. This is a man who did 40 years in law enforcement, so pretty impressive in his own right.
Do you want a photo?
We could.
If he came all the way up here?
Sure, absolutely.
I actually came from Logan.
Still got to drive the canyon.
Thank you very much for being here tonight, and we really do appreciate the work of our police department to take that extra effort to be accredited and to be an outstanding police department.
Do we want to get out of the background here? Or do we care? Okay, I'll duck. Right.
See, she's great. Hold it together. You guys better nest in it. Jeannie are matching. I think you and I need to match next week. You guys call each other.
Thank you.
We're gonna start like you guys be purple, we'll be blue, and then we'll swap.
All right, I'll go ahead with item 6C. We are making some changes to our citywide spring cleanup program. In order to better manage and utilize city resources, we are making some major changes to our annual spring cleanup, where crews have historically gone street to street citywide for green waste pickup. And we're asking for the public's help as we make this change. Beginning this year and for the future, we are eliminating the spring curbside pickup, reducing green can fees, and providing green waste drop sites at 4 parks around the city April 15th through 26th. To give you perspective, this event in the past has taken most of our streets department employees 4 weeks to cover the entire city. They spend 1 week downtown washing roads, sidewalks, and clearing storm pipes and inlet boxes. The other 3 weeks are dedicated to covering every single street in Logan to pick up green waste from individual properties. This is significant as these are the same individuals working to keep our underground utilities functioning properly and our streets and sidewalks fixed and maintained. With the number of staff and equipment involved, the cost is about $64,000 a week, or almost $200,000 for the 4 weeks of work. Last year, because of potential flooding, we canceled street-by-street spring cleanup and created the drop sites at 4 parks, which seemed to work quite well. To incentivize residents, we are lowering the price of a monthly green can from $5 a month to $4 a month. If you don't have a can, please sign up for one. They are picked up weekly at your curb from mid-March through mid-November. And many of the piles our crews pick up curbside could easily fit in a green can over a week or 2. And if you sign up for the can, you'll have that service all summer long. So please don't put any branches or green waste curbside. If you have a large load that won't fit in your green can over several weeks, you're welcome to take it to the green waste drop sites that week. Or even better, if you can, take it directly to the landfill, and that will save our crews time. You can also rent a dumpster for green waste if you have a large amount. So tomorrow we'll be posting and sending out info on our website about where the green waste sites will be located, how to sign up for a green can, and who to call to order a dumpster if you would like to pay for it and do it that way. So crews will still spend 1 week cleaning up downtown. However, instead of going house to house, we will set up and attend to the 4 temporary green waste drop sites to give folks a convenient location to deposit their yard waste. And remember, this is only green waste. This will give our crews an additional 3 weeks to fix potholes and repair damaged roadways, clean our storm drain system, sweep and clean leftover winter debris, address safety hazards along our sidewalks, do weed control, and other needed projects. We understand this is a change from what's been done in Logan historically, but with our community growing, we are continually trying to stretch our resources and be as efficient as possible. There may need to be flood prevention efforts again this spring. Although we've had less snow in the valley this year, with this last storm, our watershed is now almost 130% of normal, so we will be watching that closely as well. So as we approach the end of the snow season and look forward to warmer temperatures and spring rains, we want to thank our citizens for the work they do to keep our community clean and beautiful. By not putting green waste curbside or in the road, your efforts will help keep our storm drains and gutters clear of blockages that damage roadways and contribute to flood hazards and dangerous driving conditions. So again, just as our city's growing, we're trying to be more efficient, and rather than doing this individual pickup, we'll ask citizens to help take a little more responsibility for that. And then our crews will have those 3 weeks in prime construction season to do things that we really need to do citywide. So if you have any questions, Hart Wybrow, our streets manager, is here and can answer those questions. Again, we realize it's a change, but.
Well, I know that I know when you sent the draft to us, I had replied wondering if there was there would be an opportunity or could be an opportunity for small portions of a neighborhood or something like that to do a weekend cleanup in their area, and we would provide them a can or something like that.
A roll-off dumpster or something. And that's something, again, if they work through their neighborhood council chairperson, again, even if it's a much smaller subset of the neighborhood, we're happy to work with a group and consider that.
So it's, I want people to know that we're not trying to make it more difficult for them. It's just that it's become a huge burden for an overworked streets department as it is, and we are hoping that individual citizens will take the mantle and get a green can.
I know, our citizens are so good about helping their neighbors and, looking out for their neighbors where it's needed. If folks are, we may have elderly people that, may be challenged. We just hope people will reach out and be good neighbors, which they generally are, so.
Right.
But again, through the neighborhood council chairs, and if people have question about who that chairperson might be, they're welcome to email me on the website, and through the website, I can connect them. So again, we appreciate all our streets department does, and we'll expect to see a few more potholes filled and a few more weeds taken care of and sidewalks fixed, a lot of good projects that benefit the whole community.
So maybe as council members, maybe too, we can connect with those neighborhood councils that we're associated with and just make sure that they
Absolutely
got it too. Okay.
Good idea.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate your support on that. Item D is a capital project update. We have a lot of projects scheduled for this summer, and so we thought it would be good for Paul to sort of update the community, update the council, so they're aware of some of the disruptions that will be coming, but which lead to progress in the long run.
Correct. Orange cone season is almost here. So
I didn't know it ever left.
no, we thought it'd be good to give we talked about these during budget time and other times, and I just wanted to give kind of a this summer look ahead, so we're aware of projects, because there's a lot of them. And this is mostly focused on our larger capital projects within the public right-of-way that I've got on this list. We will still do our normal maintenance items. And I've kind of ordered it by, in my opinion, most disruptive to least in a way. The first one is 10th, 1000 North. We've talked about this a lot, from approximately 50 east to 250 west. It'll include a signal at 200 west and some widening the rest of the way. Bids for that project will be opened on Thursday this week. So we'll get that awarded. You've probably noticed utility relocations and some other things have already begun. We're trying to get a lot of the utility companies in and out before the contractor gets there to eliminate the conflict. Our plan, the schedule right now, is to complete that before winter. And the way we've tried to do that is this bid has included some incentives to the contractor, schedule-wise, and secondary, we've asked them to keep one lane open each direction the entire time, knowing they can't do that completely, so there's a lane rental program that they can decide. If I close it completely, I'm paying for those lanes. So kind of a new one, we'll see how it goes. The next big one.
Very creative. It's like a negative reinforcement.
In a way. But there's also incentives to get done early. The next big one, 1200 East from us.
Can I ask a question on that? So might there be work done in the evening hours? Is that limited to daytime?
We leave that up to the contractor to propose that. We do have our noise ordinance that if they work at night, they'd have to get a variance for. We have had some contractors already ask if that would be an option on this project. We can't say yes or no necessarily without knowing dates, areas, all that. So we've said we want to work with you as much as possible, especially in the residential area right next to those homes. It may be a lot more limited, but
Right, okay.
I know they're looking at creative ways to get them quicker, hopefully.
Okay.
1200 East, approximately 750 North to 1100 North, the two roundabouts. That's what we know that one as.
Oval.
Or the peanut about, or whatever you want to call it.
That was an oval about.
That project will hopefully be out to bid within 2 to 3 weeks. The goal would be to begin immediately with restrictions during commencement, that type of thing. Again, the requirements are to have asphalt down before winter, and we anticipate there would have to be on both these projects some landscaping, final items done probably next spring. 1,200 days, the only way they'd get that done in one season realistically is to essentially close the road for the majority of the construction. Otherwise, we put that through 2 school seasons, 2 summers, and we thought it'd be better on that one to bite the bullet and go for it.
So how is that going to work with commencement if they're closing the road?
There'd be a restriction there that it has to be open during these dates, and then
Okay.
they
So you can
decide.
drive a dirt roundabout
Yeah.
during commencement.
I don't, realistically, to get through bidding, awarding, contracting, bonding.
We're almost there.
We're probably the commencement anyway.
Yeah.
Within a week of it realistically, so.
So that'll be closed from, what is that, maybe 900 north to
Probably
1100?
around 800.
800 north?
Yeah. and-
From the tennis courts.
I don't think it'll be a complete end-to-end hard closure, but there may be one area you can't get through and the rest is limited from one way,
Okay.
something like that. We'll have to work with all the residents, businesses, cemetery, everything up there.
It'll be exciting
So people are
It will.
when you have a big funeral up there. That's going to
Good
be the
thing we have
most
access
exciting.
from the north.
It's going to be the most exciting part.
Access from all sides.
200 north and 400 north. This is 200 north from Main Street to 600 west, 400 north from Main Street to 600 east, the 2 UDOT highways that go east-west. We're doing sewer replacement in those roads. We've been putting this off a long time. UDOT is delaying overlay on 200 north so we can get it done this summer, but that'll be a big one.
And when is that starting?
This spring. We haven't bid it yet, so we don't have a contractor on board. But bids open in 9 days from now.
So that means the entire road's going to get torn up, right?
We're trying to do a lot, everything we can, we're trying to do trenchlessly.
Okay.
So we go in and line it, it's got multiple different construction methods in it, trying to cut as little as possible.
Okay.
So it's
Some
going
of
to
it we have to
be
dig.
mostly soft closures and temporary closures in that area then? Not a full closure very often?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because Second North is pretty.
Probably some detours as well.
Keep it unpredictable. I like it.
We're also replacing the water line west of 600 west on 200 north. We're trying to do this ahead of the SR 30 project. That has been awarded and will begin this spring, and again, done before fall.
And that goes to 10th West?
About 900, 950 west.
Okay.
A big one in conjunction with I forget the name of the park on 200 south. The new one.
Oh, the Logan Outdoor Recreation Complex.
In conjunction with that. 200 south.
Outdoor recreation.
The dump park. Yes, the dump park.
No.
200 south will be completely rebuilt from 1200 west to 1900 west. And there will be water and sewer upgrades as well. We just barely bid that project. It has been awarded. There's multiple departments making that doable to get that done. With that, we have 4 alternates in the bid, and each one was a section of that park or a piece of it. In addition to the road, we were able to award all 4 of them, so we're excited for that they were all able to be funded.
And that includes like a realignment.
Yeah,
Through that area, correct?
realigned, so if you drive it right now, it's not a good road. And a couple other little ones, 300 south, 500 east, near the River Heights Bridge, if that helps. It's a water line replacement, and it's in conjunction with a CDBG project. We delayed the CDBG, so we didn't go in and build a nice sidewalk and then cut it up with a water line. We're getting all that done this early spring. They've already started. Temple Heights, if you're familiar with that, a little bit of a loop road just east of the temple will be completely utilities and roadway redone this summer.
I thought that was a private road.
I wish it was.
Always.
It's not.
I always thought it was, because
Yep.
there's another alley road that's.
There's 3 of them, and they're
Yeah.
all public. Temple Avenue Heights and, can't remember the other one. The 2 new pedestrian crossings with RRFB beacons, one right in front of the rec center at 200 South, 100 West.
That'll be a good
where
one.
that bus stop is, and 200 North, 50 West, between the new library and the county block. We'll hope to get both those done this spring to early summer.
That was a huge thing to get UDOT to agree to put that in, correct? In our
It was, and they've been good. It's been delayed,
They seem to have.
trying to get it designed and ready, but
Yeah, we thought you
they've been
would do it,
supportive.
but
Good.
basically.
On 200 North,
Talked about it.
they're going to do it?
Walk
Yeah.
ahead. They seem-
Wow.
Yep. The last one I'll mention is we are replacing and upgrading 6 traffic signals. We were planning on doing these over a course of about 3 to 4 years. We're hoping to get them all done between last fall and this summer now.
Nice.
2 of them are very near done, Center Street and 100 East, and 100 East and 200 North are almost done. The next 2 will start are 100 West, 400 North. Bees are lock and key.
Yep.
That helps.
That one needs it.
100 West, 100 South, Logan High School, Mill Creek. Those 2 we've ordered materials for and we'll get started on. The last 2 that UDOT is actually going to help us with, that's why we're getting them done. It would be 100 North, 100 East, St. John's Episcopal Church. 100 North, 100 West, District Court are the last. They're all our wire span remaining signals. We're trying to get rid of them to the pole. And anyway, should be a busy summer.
Full summer.
Just don't travel within Logan.
So Paul, what is the protocol for notifying people who either live on those streets or businesses that are on those streets? What's the notification timeframe that's given to them?
They can be different depending on the project. The bigger ones, we often, as part of our construction management, will hire a PR team, a PI team, and they will start building an email list, a contact list. We'll have them reach out at least weeks to a month before, hey, this is coming. And then the biggest part is getting that contractor on board, so we have a schedule and a plan. As soon as we have that, we start putting out door hangers and emails, that type of thing on the bigger ones. The smaller ones, it's up to our staff, or sometimes we'll put on the contractor to go put out door hangers and that type of thing.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Have a good summer.
We won't see him
See you in
again.
fall. Yeah. See you when it snows again.
And the last item on my rather long list tonight is just a quick update. If those people that love to use the trail from Golf Course Road to Rendezvous Park, just that park or that trail has been closed from Golf Course Road to the cart path because they are doing sediment removal at Rendezvous Park as part of, again, that's how we designed those pools, to basically trap the sediment, but then they can be removed. So there's a great deal of sediment that will be coming out, hauled out of there, but there will be some disruptions to the trail usage just because of the safety issues for a couple of months. So that's posted on the park website, but I just wanted to bring that to people's attention, and we'll get that open as soon as we can. But
Nobody owns that dirt, do they? Not like secondary.
no, I don't think so.
Oh, good.
So.
It's closed from the cart path to the dog park.
Oh,
Correct.
did I say it
Yes.
backwards? I'm
Because
sorry.
it's open from Golf Course
right.
Road to the cart path, but
Thank
it's closed
you.
from the cart path to the bridge.
Thank you very
there
much.
by Rendezvous Park. No, you're okay.
I
just wanted to
apologize for,
clarify.
thank you for doing that.
I run it every day, so I look at them.
Great.
I say, are you almost done? I ask them today, and they're like, go away till
No.
tomorrow.
2 more, yeah, a couple of months, so it'll be a while. So, just so everyone knows, and that is the end of my report, and I turn the time back to you, Megan.
Thank you, Mary James. Okay, we'll move on to council business. We've got 2 things there. First, our planning commission update, and then board and committee reports from Mark and Jeannie.
Last planning commission meeting, they approved a short-term rental as in part of a house on 537 East, 1150 North. There was a subdivision change from condominium on 1600 North Park. There was a lot more discussion about the West Willow cell tower, but the Verizon did move it, and they did finally approve it. And there are some subdivision code amendments, which we will be discussing this evening.
Okey-doke. Thanks. Do you want to go ahead with your
Sure.
other reports?
I can do that. Since last month when I reported, it's been quieter than normal. I did attend and spent time listening to a total of 6 hours of the USU Sustainability Conference, which was incredibly informative and interesting and sparked a lot of ideas about neighborhoods and how we can create a more sustainable future for our city in terms of residents and the livability and how much commerce is, how does sustainability and economic growth go together and how they don't, how it doesn't. So it was really interesting, very interesting. I attended my first water board meeting. I went to Planning Commission. Last Friday, I attended something at lunchtime, and Ernesto was there for a short time, called the Hope Squad at Logan High, and I was incredibly impressed by the fact that there are students who have chosen to belong to this Hope Squad, and their job, it's actually a class, but their job in the high school is to watch out for other students who are exhibiting signs of stress, and especially suicidal tendencies. And they are trained to recognize the signs. They do a lot of simulations. It was interesting. They did a simulation with, I sat with two young ladies, and they did the simulation, and I was the teacher, and this person came and said, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't like it. It's not fun. And before they'd been a really good student. And so there were all these like ascending questions that, or ascending statements that the individual would make, and I was supposed to respond, and it was really hard. So anyway, I was incredibly impressed that they have instituted this program. There are 1,700 high schools across the country that participate in this Hope Squad, and some in foreign countries and one in Africa. So it's something that I believe will be of great benefit to both the people who are participating as mentors and the people who receive help. So, and with everyone else, went to the library ribbon cutting yesterday, and also went to Historic Preservation Committee. So that's what I've done in the past month.
Quiet.
I was going to say, is that a quiet month?
What's a busy month look like?
Well, there's Airport Authority Board. I think I went to that too, but I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I did. But
I attended a historical preservation yesterday as well too. There was a request for a facade upgrade at 73 North, 77 North, both at that building. It was a very nice project that was brought forward. So,
What's the business?
it's where Toad's Games and Josh Burnett's old offices.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're going to put the facade back to its original historic look. So,
cool.
yeah, it was a very nice. It was a very nice project. So I was
it
excited.
will match well with the other one that they did.
Yeah.
Because it's Cache Valley Bank.
Absolutely, yeah, it should look great. I would suspect they'll do something with the cater shop there as well too, but we'll see what happens.
One at a time.
Yeah. Economic Development did not meet, and the Golf Course Advisory Board met without me, so.
I'm sure they were very sad.
They were very sad, yeah, but I did get minutes on that, so. And looking forward to meeting with the Solid Waste Advisory Board, so it should be fun.
Smart.
That's a quiet month.
That is.
Solid Waste Advisory Committee, isn't it
Excuse me,
now?
yes. It's a committee, yes.
So I know I'm not supposed to report today, but I just want to advise, I'm going to anyway, because there's a hard deadline tomorrow for grants due to the Office of Homeless Services for funding for a 3-year grant cycle. So I know most of those organizations are already aware of that, but just want to make sure that people are aware that that request for grant applications is out. There's $1,080,000 that's coming to the Bear River Local Homeless Council for distribution for projects that support and help prevent homelessness. So if you have any questions about that, let me know before 5 o'clock tomorrow. We'll move on to
Having
our
your writing already done.
We'll move on to our action items. Our first is a public hearing. Code Amendment Ordinance 25-07. Rich, this is consideration of a proposed ordinance amending our Logan Municipal Code for the duty to pay and disconnect. Anything you want to add?
Just pertaining to utility customers, when it becomes necessary that we disconnect them, the process that we go through to notify them, removing one word, written, and we're going to, our intent is to turn to electronic notification, which we already do, but we're going to turn to that primarily. It'll save us $20,000 in postage over a year's time, which we can use.
Plus printer fees.
What's that?
Plus the printing fees.
Plus the printing fees, which is about $1,000. It's not.
Sure.
Plus the staff time. This is a far more efficient process.
Any questions for Rich?
I think we all asked.
We had a lot of talk.
Covered it very well
about
in the
this.
workshop last time, yes.
This is a public hearing, so anyone who would like to speak to ordinance number 24-07, please come to the microphone, state your name, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
It's me again, Josh from Logan. So are you talking about, the little cards, the little do not disconnect cards? I actually rely on those to keep my bills paid. I'm not very good at bill paying, so, I literally do rely on those. So, just so you know, thanks.
Can I make a comment on this?
So let me just make sure that anybody else. Anybody else would like to come and speak to this? Okay, seeing none, I will bring it back to the council for action or questions.
Or comments?
Or comments.
Which I just want to clarify, we're still going to notify you. We're just going to call, text, and email you relentlessly.
That's correct.
Relentlessly?
Right.
All the time.
Relentlessly.
We're going to set up an auto text.
Right now, we do a text, this as just a phone call as a courtesy. And that has been really successful in getting people's attention. We're going to do that as the primary notice after the 10-day period of being late. And so our hope is that we'll actually reach more people this way. Some have grown accustomed to our other methods, and maybe this will shake it up.
Immune.
We will also be careful as we transition.
Immune. They've grown immune.
A little bit. Everybody does.
Which you will be leaving a voicemail if they don't answer.
It'll be a voicemail. We do have records of who answers and who has left messages.
And I know we talked a little bit last time about some leniency during the transition period to make sure that we're not
Yeah.
being too abrupt with it.
We can, and again, if they would have paid when they cut the piece of paper, they should be able to pay when they get the call. So we'll work with customers as we make this transition. Because I did note on my own, on Gmail, which I have, it did go to spam initially, the email, but the phone call made it through.
So Rich, I will be asking you for special notice.
Do you know if there's any way to get off the spam list with Gmail? We're probably not a big enough customer of Gmail for them to care.
Yeah, I think if we were as big as Google, then maybe they'd listen to us.
So when the initial bill comes out, is there a way to notify people that they'll no longer be receiving a secondary mailed notice?
Yeah, we can put that on our bills.
So that people
To
see
go to your
that
email and
maybe even
unspam it.
identify that, messages will be sent via email to check. So
And to
that-
check your spam folder.
Great big red letters, please note.
Because I think that could be helpful.
Yeah, I agree.
Text also, so. Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you're exploring the possibility of doing some of those in Spanish as well.
We will. The email's super easy because it can go right there. The verbal is a little bit harder, but we may be able to try the good old, not press 1, but wait for the Spanish translation, and then do the English first and then Spanish second.
Excellent, thank you.
Good thought. Thanks, Rich.
Any other questions or comments for Rich?
I'll move we approve ordinance 24-07.
I'll second that motion.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, ordinance 24-07 passes.
That's interesting. The next one is resolution 2407.
Yes, this is also Rich, which I actually pulled up first, but this is resolution 24-07. This is a public hearing on a budget adjustment appropriating $15,000 from the Alcohol and Drug-Free Committee to be used for equipment and $20,000 towards the additional election expenses that we have this year.
But didn't you say the additional election expenses were not really additional? They were just that you budget the same amount every year and then you have to add to it on the years when we actually have an election?
Exactly. And I failed to do it, for lack of a better word.
So I just wanted to make sure that everybody, because I know we had a long election season.
So this was not because of the recount, actually was the question. All right.
In fact, if I had carried forward that budget like I should have, like I typically do, it would have been more than enough to cover the expenses. So we'll do that going forward. I'm sure I'll never forget.
Are there any other questions or recriminations for Rich Anderson?
I won't approve it this time if you don't.
I think he recriminated himself.
Yes, did he do that, Craig? Yeah.
Love how Craig never makes comments, he just laughs.
So if there's no other questions or comments, I will open up the public hearing. This is a public hearing for resolution 24-07, a budget adjustment. Care to speak to it, please come up to the microphone, identify yourself, and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing nobody, I will bring this back to the council for action.
I move approval of resolution 2407.
I'll second it.
I'll make an amendment to chastise Rich for forgetting.
Yes.
Can we do that?
Totally.
I'll second that.
No, please don't second that. I'm withdrawing my amendment. All those in favor of resolution 24-07, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Resolution 2407 passes.
We need to make sure that Teresa got all that.
Yes.
Our next public hearing is on resolution 24-06. This is consideration of a proposed resolution adopting a revised water division classification, rates, fines, and fees. Paul reviewed this with us last meeting, but Paul, what would you like to share with us?
Just as a, pull this up real quick, as a reminder, sorry, I can't do more than one thing at a time.
And we did ask you to look into what the average, you had emailed me about what the average increase was going to be.
Correct.
Yep. And you did respond.
And you
That's
did
it, I had that email in
respond.
front of me.
I got the answer.
And you saw my email, I assume?
Yes.
Talking about the average cost.
It's right here.
So as a reminder, is an adjustment to, primarily to our fees, fines, those types of things, as you can see in the resolution, we talked through those. Secondarily is a minor rate adjustment across the board on all of our water rates to help just keep up with costs until our water rate study is done. We anticipate doing that within probably 12 to 18 months from now.
When you resurface from all the capital projects or what?
Yeah, let's not do it this year. And then the other thing I just wanted to point out tonight, the resolution we pointed out, there were a couple typos and clarifications we made in it. So changes since last week. You can see on the slide 2 things. On page 1, where it just defines our classifications, on all of our previous resolutions, our previous water rates, multifamily is defined as a triplex living unit, multifamily living unit, and all other dwelling units that are individually or jointly water metered. In the previous version of this resolution, we took out the word individually and didn't really intend to or have reason to. So I put it back in so it matches the previous definitions. That's what that is. The second one was also on page 1 of the resolution. the table one, the schedule of implementation where we have the dates for the different classifications. Our utility billing asks that we just clarify that that is the date the bill is created, not the date the water is consumed, for ease of creating that bill, if that makes sense. It's not based on when you use the water, but when we create the bill for the water. Those were the only two changes from our workshop 2 weeks ago. If you'd like me to go through anything, I'd be happy to, or I'll do my best to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Paul? So just, again, we had asked Paul to identify what that rate increase, average increase was, and his response was it would be about $1.95 a month in 2024 and $1.56 a month for 25 and 26 for the average single-family home. So thanks for providing that.
Which I think we have to commend Paul because his estimate was $2.
$2, yeah.
So he's only off by 5 cents on his estimate.
Nice job.
Which is impressive.
I always estimate high.
Well, which I appreciate, but I also appreciate
That's
after
always
it.
good, yeah.
You were close and a little high, which is good.
Good.
So thank you.
And I can't take all the credit. Joe did most of the math for that, so.
Good job, Joe.
All right.
We'll say good job to both.
This is a public hearing, so if anyone would like to come and speak to Resolution 24-06, please do so at this time. Approach the mic, state your name, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing nobody, I will bring it back to the council for action.
Go
ahead.
I was going to say, I move we approve Resolution 24-06.
And I will second that.
Any other comments or discussion?
My wife is going to see this and tell me to water the lawn less, so it'll be good for conservation too.
That's true. That's true. All right.
She'll see it.
Seeing no other questions or comments, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 24-06 passes. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. She will notice immediately.
Our next public hearing is a rezone. This is ordinance 24-08. This is a consideration of a rezone of 0.13 acres at 181 North 200 East, the Little Bloomsbury, from a TC, or traditional neighborhood residential, to TC2.
You are not having deja vu.
No, I know, we saw this before.
This is a repeat. So this came before the council in January and failed for a lack of a third vote. It was a tie 2-2, so the motion failed. The applicant immediately reapplied and went back through the planning commission in February. The outcome in planning commission was a little bit different because we had a different commission makeup. 2 were out of town that voted 6-0, and then Commissioner David Lewis was in town. And so the vote was 4-1 in favor. Commissioner Lewis voted not to recommend approval. He was concerned about maybe it being a piecemeal rezone, and then also some historic preservation, some concerns with that. So this is the east side of the block. The long-range plan does call for this to eventually become town center, which is a commercial zone, and it anticipates it would be needed as the valley and city continue to grow for further commercial services and businesses in and around our downtown. The current zoning, this row of homes on the east side are all currently zoned NR6. The exception on this block face is the orthodontist on the north corner. The rest of the structures and uses are residential in nature. The proposed zoning is TC2, which falls in line with the long-range plan. The other difference is the Planning Commission went ahead and heard the conditional use permit for the 3-bedroom hotel and the gallery use. And they conditionally approved that. Their discussions focused on parking, hours of operation, traffic, noise, those kinds of things. And so It was conditionally approved, but it's also contingent on the rezone. If the rezone fails, then the conditional use permit becomes null and void. If the rezone's approved, there are all those conditions to meet, but also to get the business license and the hotel started, there's a plethora of building permit improvements to convert an older home to a code-compliant commercial structure. But it's not unique. If you look along some of our side streets here, across the street, we've got a couple law offices, coffee shop, similar situations on First East. So, any questions?
Any questions for Russ?
Russ, I do have a question. When we, in the past, you say the corner is TC2, the dental office. Was it always that, or was it a legally existing non-compliant NR6?
I don't know for sure because I haven't researched that property, but based on that structure, it appears to me that that was built as commercial. And so it was likely a commercial zone, and it looks like it's an older orthodontist office too, I'm guessing 60s, 70s. But on your block, on the same block, your area was zoned commercial in the 1950s. So it wouldn't surprise me if that orthodontist office was also zoned. I can research that, but
No, I was just curious because we have had a habit of creating, we say, well, it already is this, so we'll make it that.
yeah, that one doesn't look like an old house to me. That one looks like an originally built orthodontist.
Well, the
which
reason
would mean it would have to have been commercial at the time of construction.
The reason I ask is because next to that, there are two lots. You can see there's the dental office, and then there's like a line in the middle, and then there's two more lots.
Yeah.
And there were two older houses on those lots.
Yeah.
And there still is one, but the other one was torn down. And so I was just curious.
Many years ago, when my pediatrician was in that office.
That
was a long time ago.
On the corner?
We're talking 50 years ago.
On the corner?
I went to, yes, where the orthodontist is.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Tiny Mark with his glasses.
It was not brand new then. So that was in the early 70s.
So Martin has answered your
Yeah,
question.
so my pediatrician actually had his office there. So I think he'd been there for 20 years when I was there.
That does not look like that old of a building.
It doesn't, but
And you don't look that old
that
either.
dates me, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well, I know it was here, it was there in
It was
1974.
Dr. Payne.
Oh. But it was
the wrong career.
P-A-Y.
P-A-Y-N-E, yes.
Picked the wrong career.
Love going to see Dr. Payne.
All right. Any other questions for Rob before we open the public hearing?
Were there any other concerns from that commissioner who?
No, those
Did
were
not
the
recommend
two. There were two public comments as well, one in favor of the project and then one opposed.
Anything specific on either of those?
In favor, they
Could have
supported it. The opposition was a concern about housing, and if we keep converting houses to hotels, our housing stock lowers, and so it was an affordability housing concern.
Which is a big concern.
Money, the building was built when the hospital was built.
What are some of the changes that need to happen to the building to?
Well, some of the biggest changes are ADA compliance. So that could mean a ramp. It means doorways and jams are widened so wheelchairs can get in. Those are typically the biggest change. Sometimes there's fire suppression changes as well. Each house is unique, and so some of them are harder than others.
And there's a lot of bathrooms.
So I will say I appreciate the fact that we can see what the conditional use permit looked like with this as well. So, which was a change from that. So. All right, any other questions?
Well, I still had did you have any thoughts, any further thoughts on, I asked when we workshopped this about an outdoor gallery? Because originally the concept was an indoor gallery, I thought. But now the last iteration, it was an outdoor gallery. And I didn't know whether we allowed permanent outdoor commercial things like that.
We do. We allow some outdoor activity associated with a adjacent commercial building. Sidewalk sales might be an example there,
I know,
or
but
other types of things.
I'm talking about a permanent, I'm not talking about a one-off.
Right, but as part of the conditional use permit, it is not a daily type of use. The gallery is associated with the charity, the Little Bloomsbury charity, and they meet pretty infrequently in smaller groups.
So will the gallery always have items in it, even in between those meetings? Do we know?
Yeah, I think you can anticipate that the two items that are out there now, the hand cart and the teepee, would remain.
But the hand cart's in the right-of-way.
Yes, that's part of the conditional use permit to move that onto private property.
Okay.
And there may be items that rotate in and out as artists display things or.
Well, originally the concept was it was like a place for art for sale, because she talked about 60% and 40% and artists staying, and so I didn't know how the concept of art for sale matched up with an outdoor art for sale gallery, if that was okay in TC2. I didn't know.
It's similar to indoor, and it's tied to the use of gallery or retail type of use. And there will be limitations on the business license that sets a maximum occupancy and a maximum amount of folks that can go through that area.
And so also, how do we regulate the shared driveway because that shared driveway is for 3 residences?
Correct. So the easement allows access, but it also requires the area to be cleared, so you can't park in it. But all 3 residences can use it. And to access the hotel parking, you would use the shared driveway, but then pull off of the shared area and out of the way.
Okay. The only thing I'm concerned about is if you have, unless you have someone on site constantly, that is subject to people just saying, oh, well, I'll just park here. Because they don't know, because they just came from wherever. And so then it becomes an enforcement issue where we have to go out and try and get the cars moved and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be spelled out in the business license and the conditional use permit, and typically signage mitigates those issues.
Okay.
And it does address in here that too, that they have to be accessible without the need of moving other cars. I mean, they've got some in the conditional use permit, and that overflow parking has to go to the 100 East lot. So it looks like they addressed a lot of the parking issues there.
And
But
none of the
100 East
neighbors
is
still
not,
made
the 100 East
any
is not
public
an
comment.
overnight lot.
Correct.
They were notified twice now.
But that would be
Correct.
like a gallery.
No
so.
comment. Yeah.
And the driveway
Notified
is
twice.
already shared, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Where's the private?
It's this home and this home. This is the subject home, but it's shared with this home, and then behind this home, there's kind of an accessory unit.
It's like a whole nother house, isn't it?
I mean, it's a whole other building.
Yeah, it's a separate residential structure.
Other questions, comments? All right, I will then open the public hearing for this. This is a public hearing for ordinance 24-08 for rezone of 181 North 200 East. If you would like to speak to this, please come to the microphone, identify yourself, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Craig's going to have his timer going.
Quietly. Very quietly.
I'm Josh Smaller from Logan. I was at the Planning Commission with this project, and when I went up and spoke about it the first time, I had no idea. I just liked the idea of doing a small business, keeping it small and local. But from that meeting, or from my comments up here, I was actually invited to come and see what this project is, and it's actually a really neat project. It helps with nonprofits, for one. It helps with art community, with the arts community in the city. It helps preserve the house. She's actually done more with impact studies than most stuff that has been approved towards this, through the city council. Like the traffic, talking to the neighbors about their input. The planning and zoning actually was presented with 3 different parking variations. And I think that maybe 1 or 2 of them actually worked, which they actually do work. Let's see. As far as the housing concern goes, with trying to keep, trying to put more product out there, this is not going to be even a fraction of what's going on. The housing thing is, it's just total crap what's going on with the housing market, and this wouldn't even affect it whatsoever. I've gone through this project, and it actually is a really cute and really nice project. As far as the the stuff out front, I mean, yeah, it's an art. There's going to be an art gallery. Maybe things will be exchanged, but it's also promoting people and their art. So, thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
That's a long walk. My name is Leah Atkins. First off, in discussing the property and what the plans were with my father, who was a local historian, he was telling me that the office in question on the corner was actually built shortly after we moved here in 1970. So that answers that question for you. I have been intimately involved with Little Bloomsbury for a number of years due to my interest in the arts community. And I am very much a fan of what Dr. Sun plans to do, what she has done. She has contributed more to this community than a lot of people realize in her involvement in the arts, in her reaching out to children, getting children involved, building up self-confidence, helping people find ways to express their diversity. We have had long conversations on the importance of diversity in the community and how we want to represent diversity as a whole through Little Bloomsbury. So having gone through, I've been in that residence I don't know how many times to perform, to MC shows, all kinds of things, and then I've gone through and seen exactly what she has planned to do on the inside. She is putting in a great deal of thought, a great deal of money, and a real love and care of the community. So I would consider you to strongly consider this as a positive for the community as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Anybody else? You can come up, Dr. Sun, if you'd like to. 3 minutes.
Well, I have to say thank you for not approving this, so we have another opportunity to behold thy faces and also to meet with Ernesto again. So very grateful. So I'm just going to present something very new to you. I know you have a lot of agenda to go through tonight, so don't want to take too much of your time. So maybe you can pass on to one another. Yeah. So
I want to share with you. I think we can share.
where the bookmark is something that somehow was presented to the planning commission but not included in this package. Yeah, so we basically just give you the gist of like what the difference is when, you know, we hopefully get upgraded to a hotel situation. So basically, rather than with a short-term rental license, we have to rent the whole house out. Or if you rent one of the rooms out on one night, you cannot rent to another party. Yeah, because we were thinking, hey, you know, maybe there is just the one person or two persons, they don't need the whole house, but they want to be within walking distance. They want to, you know, be connected to the community and admire the beautiful temple and connect to the people. Then they have the opportunity to do so. And very importantly, as Mr. Hawley has mentioned, we would have the opportunity and the reason to provide ADA access. I've always wanted to do that for many, many years, but just did not have that big reason to because it costs a lot of money. Yeah, so, and also just addressing to Jeannie's concern about the shared driveway, definitely is one of our concerns as well. Because everything we do is not just to meet code. We want to make sure that we understand the principles behind and we're doing a good job. Yeah, whether it's fire prevention, and I was telling the fire marshal, it's not just to meet code. And the building department also know that we are not doing something just to meet code. We are sincerely, you know, concerned about safety of the people, about, you know, being able to extend more opportunities for people to participate. Yeah, and also we have made it a policy. We do not want to take in any guests for less than 3 nights. And particularly, I have liaised with a lot of people who have entered the field of short-term rental a few years back. Is sort of like it's a new-ish industry. So those folks that have, you know, accumulated experiences in running the business, they all say, hey, there are a few items that you want to check off to make sure that, you know, you don't get party people there. First of all, if they are like there just for the one night, okay, and if you don't have devices inside the home to monitor they have devices that we would install to monitor how many electronic devices are being used and the noise level. Okay, so that is something that we want to do. And also, when we do booking, I personally would filter out those guests. And I told my team, we are not worried about profits. We are worried about getting good people in there.
I'd say.
Yeah, and the gallery from the very beginning, it is open. Thank you.
Thank you. I know you're enthusiastic, and we appreciate your enthusiasm.
Thank you.
Any other public care to speak? Okay, seeing nobody, I will bring it back to the council for action. Or questions or comments or...
I'll go. I expressed before, and I continue to feel that this has sort of a spot zone feel to it. I don't know whether it is entirely appropriate for Logan City to have TC2 across from the temple. I think that as we work on our general plan, I think that we're in the process of updating that general plan, and perhaps that would provide a little bit more clarity on that issue. I feel like I know we don't rezone for a single purpose, because we rezone and it can be anything that fits the zone. And so I always worry that we are going to get more than we bargained for with a zone like that, stuck in the middle of a residential area. So those are my concerns.
Ms. Jeannie? Other comments, questions?
I'm the new guy here, so I'll ask a question to Russ,
Please do.
because I still have a lot to learn. But it was my understanding, because we talked about a little about the spot zone when we talked about this originally, and Mike told us that we had originally, by we I mean the council before I was here, had originally looked at upzoning that whole section of that street to TC, and then it decided to back off. And the intent was to let people apply for upzones. Am I misunderstanding what he'd said during the last meeting? I think you were here, Russ. I wish Mike was here to.
No, and we took that approach on several blocks along the perimeters of either the commercial areas or TC areas. Farther south, where L59 is also an example of that, where it was upzoned for a period of time, but then it was downzoned based on some neighborhood feedback, and then the approach would be, well, we'll upzone it periodically as we get projects that we feel are warranted or worthy of an upzone.
So this project aside, that is something that would be typical in a situation like this, to upzone as projects come along here to kind of allow that downtown core to grow a little bit. Or once again, maybe I'm misunderstanding that.
No, I'd say 80% of our rezones are initiated by a property owner.
Okay.
And then the other 20% would be, a citywide general plan or fluff update, or the neighborhood planning efforts. Those sometimes result in, okay, let's rezone this whole section or these 4 areas. We're actually doing some things that are dealing with the new plaza and the fire department, so that's a city-initiated one, but 80% of them are private property owners coming to us desiring the rezone.
But I know that in many instances, especially lately, we have rezoned to match what's sitting on the ground. Because we did that, because initially the block just to the north of the Temple block was all NR6. And we changed some of it because of what's on the ground. It's like, what, MR12? I don't know what it is.
It's MR20. Yeah, I mean, zoning should...
He's got a good memory.
Well, I knew it was 12 or 20.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised at how good Russ is. I know.
But it was NR6, at one point in time. And so I feel like, I guess my concern is, yes, we create this sort of dream, but at the same time, is that the right dream for that area? And I know that we protected this corridor because of its adjacency to the Temple and to NR6 south of it. And we also kept part of the block going north for, in some ways, the same reason, because it was trying to protect some residential availability in downtown. At least that's how I.
But I will say, we did review parts of the fluff, and we didn't alter this from TC in this area. And we just did the fluff review, what was that, 2 years ago?
We did an update.
But we didn't change the NR6 part either.
Yeah.
Yeah, left it all with TC.
Zoning is a tool to accomplish a couple things. One is to protect or further limit, additional density or changes that folks don't want to see. And so zoning will prohibit that. Or zoning will enable upzoning, further density, further redevelopment. Generally speaking, I think we try to kind of match what's on the ground, but it's impossible to match every single property on every single block. Our zoning map would be this crazy tie-dye.
Like checkers on it.
But in general, you kind of want to match what's there. You don't want to drive past a block and have all these commercial properties and businesses and then slap NR6 on top of it just because it doesn't make sense. So generally speaking, we try to basically match what is built and what is currently being used on the property.
Yes and no.
Always a great answer.
Yeah, I know.
I think it's a really cute house. I love the idea that we can maintain its historical nature and potentially its use. I love Dr. Sun's enthusiasm about the project. I think it's really cute. I would move for approval of ordinance 24-08.
I'll second the motion.
Any other further discussion, comments? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor of ordinance 24-08 signify aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Ordinance 24-08 passes. Our next item is another public hearing. I think this is our record this year. This is ordinance 24-05. This is a code amendment considering amending our land development code related to engineering design standards.
Okay, it's good to be here again this evening. I have a very brief presentation just to kind of refresh your memory on what we're trying to accomplish here. We are updating our engineering design standards as housed in our public works set of standards. We are also updating our amendments to the APWA specifications, specifically to their design details. So those are the two things we're changing. And so this is our current standard is we don't have that, it's in reserve, so we're wanting to add a standard. And those are the details that we're using. It's a series of red lines. And so we're going to clean that up. We'll show that on this next screen. We're going to add this, like section 4 is an example of the standards that we're adding. And then the detail over here in this detail is an example of the details that we're changing. And then we're also adding an approved materials list to kind of consolidate what our approved materials are.
And these are used for subdivisions, correct? Mostly?
Any development, subdivisions, new commercial.
Okay.
Yeah, any development.
Where they put in their own sewer and water lines, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, they'll include private sewer and water. We have them build that to our standard because those are tied directly into our system.
Okay, thank you.
And that's kind of the extent of the presentation. I have more to add, and we have details as needed, but if there's any questions, I'm here to answer.
Any questions for Darren?
I love sewer lines.
Yeah.
You love sewer lines?
I do. I mean, I spent a couple weeks in Africa, and I was very grateful to have sewer in my house when I got home.
Yeah.
So, while this is not exciting, it's a very great thing. So I appreciate what you're doing. That's what I'm saying.
Function.
Yes.
In our mind, if you don't see have issues with water and sewer, that means we're doing our job.
Exactly.
And things are working out.
I think we all just are happy to have it without thinking
Well,
about it.
plus I think it's important for development to be up to city standards so that should they later decide they want to be part of us or whatever, we don't have as much angst about that.
Right. And this did pass planning commission unanimously, correct?
It did.
I think I might have asked this last time, but when was the last time that standards changed?
So these standards, and predated my time here at the city. They did an update to a portion of the standards, and at that time they left this section, this water and sewer section blank, and they were still working on that. I believe, I don't know, Paul, if you remember, but I think it was 3 or 4 years ago that they updated the rest of those standards, and so these were the next two that were on the list of
They just had
standards.
that red scratchy one.
Are there any cities that have the standards be administrated by the department and they don't come to the city council for to approve new standards?
The direction we got from our council is that all standards that pertain to developments have to go through the planning commission, and then we should have to receive approval from the council.
And obviously now we know Mike loves sewer, so he would want to talk about it anyway.
You was the squatter in the back of the gas station.
I don't think I care to share that.
Good information. I was glad to get home. I mean, I loved it, but I was glad to get home.
Okay, any other questions for Darren?
Nope.
All right.
Just love sewers.
This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to ordinance 24-05, please come to the microphone, identify yourself, and you can have up to 3 minutes.
If anybody else loves sewers as much as I do.
My name is Turner Coyle, resident of Logan. I just would like to express my support for this ordinance, and I would recommend that council approve ordinance 24-05. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add that Turner is one of our EIT engineers, and he has a very invested interest in the work that we've been doing. He's done a lot of it, and so it's fantastic that he comes and participates. And
I was going to ask you how much you paid.
He waited 2 hours to talk about
I know,
sewers.
he's waited like 2 hours to be able to
I
say
paid his
that.
wife to be here as well.
She deserves some ice cream.
Yeah.
I
Snacks outside.
particularly appreciate I really like this one, please pass it.
Yes. I agree.
That's the best
All right.
comment.
Anybody else care to speak to this? Seeing nobody, I'll bring it back to the council for action.
I'll move we approve ordinance 24-05.
I'll second it. Jeannie is always so much faster than me.
Any other questions or
And then I do it wrong.
ready to vote? Okay, all those in favor of ordinance 24-05, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ordinance 24-05 passes. Thank you, Darren.
Thanks, Darren.
Thank you for all your work on it. Appreciate it.
And waiting 2 hours to
Yes.
talk about sewers with us.
Our
Just
next,
wait. Well, Gary, Craig already had to be here, but now he's going to get to talk to a judge.
yeah. So our next action item is a code amendment. This is not a public hearing. This is consideration of ordinance 24-06, a ordinance amending our regulating standing, stopping, or parking vehicles.
So ordinance 2406 is not nearly as exciting as sewers. It's a housekeeping item, though, it is minor changes. The purpose of this amendment is just to match our current transit organization with our code. The amendment deletes reference to Logan Transit District and the city buses and replaces the public transit and public transit buses.
Any other questions for Craig?
Does our code allow you to park in front of mailboxes?
No, that's federally regulated.
So I'm really, I wish I could channel Herm Olson and say that this is a public hearing, but on the other hand,
No, I don't have any questions for you, Craig. Don't park in
he's
bus
away
stop,
on a
bus stop.
mission. He'll never, what he doesn't know won't hurt him, right? So,
He's watching.
any action from the council on this one?
I'll move approval of ordinance.
Thank you, Ernesto. We have a second?
Second.
Mark seconded, all right. All those in favor of ordinance 24-06 signify aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ordinance 2406 passes. Our next is resolution 24-05, which is consideration of a resolution appointing temporary justice court judges.
So yeah, this resolution provides that any justice court judge currently sitting in the First Judicial District could be called in to substitute in for Judge Edwards if he has a conflict of interest or is unable to be in court that day. The process is that Judge Edwards would contact the senior court judge
If I need to be absent or at a conflict, I'd like so-and-so to be fill in for me, and then the senior court judge would then contact that justice court judge.
Of course, they know.
So we had some lively conversation about the abilities of different justices last meeting.
So current law, as of last year, is that all new justice court judges need to be law trained. Those who are not are grandfathered in. There are 2 in First Judicial Districts that are not law trained. The rest are. I spoke with Judge Edward, said he's always tried to use those who are law trained. All of them are good judges, but he usually use those who are law trained.
Any other questions for Craig? This is not a public hearing, so it remains with the council for action.
I move we approve Resolution 2405.
I'll second it.
Any questions or discussion?
Nope.
All right, all those in favor of Resolution 24-05, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 24-05 passes. We have a couple workshop items to round out our night. The first is Resolution 24-08, the budget adjustment with a variety of things that I will let Rich explain.
I'm going to handle these in reverse order, the easiest to the most difficult or requiring the most explanation. Request appropriate $11,483 for a library clef grant we get each year, fairly run-of-the-mill for collection development. A request to appropriate $22,000 of golf course reserves toward the completion of a cart path that goes from 14T over to 15T and just past at the golf course. It's kind of a critical area. We've been working on this for a while. There's $40,000 appropriated. We need $22,000 to complete. We need to complete this before we open the course. And so just a request to appropriate that. And then in full disclosure, it is going as it stands. There's $40,000 to pay for it. We're requesting another $22,000 to finish it. And lastly, a request to appropriate $1.2 million of electric reserves. These are the final electric reserves. They're not the final, but this is the final time we're going to come forward.
I say the last we're allowed to do with them.
As you'll recall, we appropriated $22 million toward the gas turbines. We appropriated another $2.2 million toward second dam dredging, which is necessary to utilize our hydros. And then we are now requesting to appropriate $1.2 million. So this takes us down to, my estimate is somewhere between 7 and 8 million, which sounds like a lot, but it's about half of what we need in that fund to feel comfortable. We never feel comfortable, but to feel like we're operating appropriately. So this will drop us down a little bit lower. However, it's the opportunity that we're trying to take advantage of. UDOT doing work up the canyon. We have overhead power lines. This will put those lines underground to our facilities, and we feel like it is although not the best timing, it's a really important project. We should take advantage of it.
And Matt has nicely sat through the entire meeting representing Mark. So if you do have questions for Matt, but again, we're worried those power lines have a fire hazard. I'm sure you've heard about the fires that have been caused in other locations, but Matt can answer any questions. But again, it's sort of taking advantage of an opportunity that's already happening.
So it's the UDOT Logan Canyon Betterment Project. What the heck is that?
Matt, you want to come up and answer that, please? Thank you.
It's a euphemism for what the project is.
They're going to cut down a bunch of trees.
I just want you guys to know I wore a suit and everything for this.
So you would channel.
Looks like Mark's suit.
Channel
You
Mark.
came to a really exciting meeting. Come on.
If they were all this exciting, I'd come every week.
They are all this exciting.
So we just got approached a few months ago. Obviously, this is something we were not planning on or budgeting for. We got approached recently from Horrocks Engineering, who's working on behalf of UDOT. So UDOT is they're doing a trench, regardless of whether we jump in it or not, if we join the project or not.
Jump in the trench.
I'm glad you guys caught that.
Don't do that.
The trench is their intended purpose for it is for fiber optics to go up the canyon. They've already come from the Bear River side up to the state road sheds. This is just a completion of their project that they've already started. They talked to us about joining, and this is a fantastic opportunity for us to move those power lines underground.
also share that cost. We would be sharing that cost, you know, 3 ways. Rocky Mountain Power has also opted to join in with this project. So for us to do this in the future, you know, we would be putting that entire bill. This gives us the opportunity to do a third of that bill. And really we're only paying for the portion that we are going to be utilizing. So for light and power, we're anticipating putting 1 4-inch conduit in to run our power lines. Those power lines are necessary for feeding up and back from third dam, second dam, for our generation there. And then also we would put in a fiber conduit to facilitate communication between, you know, our equipment there and our system operations center there at SOC and in the middle of town there on third south and third west. So I don't know other questions you might have. Obviously the timing of this is not ideal with the budget and the reserves where we are. We have obviously some large projects going on with light and power. So this isn't something we necessarily look for, but it is definitely something that would be advantageous to take advantage of that situation while we have it.
So we're going to do electric lines from Third Dam all the way back to Logan?
So those lines are already in existence.
No, but I meant underground. We're going to
Yes,
put them
correct.
underground.
Are we doing anything up canyon from that, or it's all Third Canyon?
No, Rocky Mountain Power would be continuing up. They service.
But they're gonna
further
go
up, but
underground there.
As far as us, we would be stopping there at Third Dam.
Okay.
So you said 4-inch conduit for the power. Is Rocky Mountain doing more for the rest of bigger, or?
No, they're putting in, to my understanding, they're putting the same size of conduit, and additionally, they're only doing 1 conduit as well. So we can fit, so we're doing 3-phase power, and we can fit all of ours in 1 4-inch conduit, and I believe they're doing 3-phase power as well, and they're so similar conduit.
But nobody's expanding power up the
No.
canyon. It's just...
No, all this is taking our overhead lines and moving them underground. And the project actually, it's kind of a neat project. They are trenching with a rotary trench system. And so they'll be digging it with a trencher essentially that just rolls. It's a big wheel with teeth on it. And so it's kind of interesting. So, you know, we'll be splitting that cost 3 ways, like I said, with UDOT and Rocky Mountain Power. With us putting power in our power requirements, so they were originally going to go 26 inches for the fiber. Power requires that we go 4 feet. And so, you know, that's kind of the portion we're really paying for is that 4 feet. There's some shared costs no matter what, like the asphalt replacement, the flowable fill, backfill, things like that we're going to be sharing on that original 26 inches, but the additional down to the 4 feet, you know.
Is this going under the road or next to the road?
It's actually going right under the road.
Does this change maintenance costs or issues, you know, 10, 20, 30 years down the line, or is that?
Yes, actually, it's going to reduce our maintenance costs and issues. So one of the problems with that overhead line now is we're trimming trees off of those lines as often as we can, obviously for fire, and that's one of the biggest benefits.
And I'm assuming that you can access this trenchless in the future as needed.
Yeah, so what our anticipated plan is, and this is a lot of it's in pretty preliminary stages, but our anticipated plan is they'd be running that trench right up the road, and then we would be stubbing out approximately every 900 to 1,000 feet. We would stub out to a junction box because we can't pull wire that entire distance.
Sure.
And so we'd be doing junction boxes on the side of the road for both our power and our fiber. We'd have those located together. So
Speaking of that, the 1.2 million that we're allocating includes not only the cost of the trenching and but also the wire and the piping and all that stuff? Is that all part of that cost or no?
No, we're too broke for that. So right now we're just jumping in and doing the conduit. We anticipate in the next 2 to 3 years that we'll try to rebudget and do all of the demo of the old line as well as pulling in the new wire.
Oh, so we're just putting a blank conduit in there?
This is just conduit and junction boxes in that.
The problem with low reserves, eh?
Finish that.
Okay, all right.
So I'm assuming that everyone's read how the power companies in California got dinged for millions of dollars in damage. Does this help with our potential
For wildfire.
liability down the road, Craig? Okay.
But more, it actually helps with that.
Plus it helps with one of the last scenic places in the United States.
Such a pretty drive.
Any other questions, comments?
Just to give you just
Yeah.
a little more information, so all of that money that we talked about previously will be all appropriated, assuming council appropriates this 1.2 million. In addition, not this coming fiscal year 25, but 26, we're anticipated to be ordering transformers for our substation, not the cool kind of talk, but the kind that just do the power.
That turn into cars.
I know.
$4 million, which is a lot. So that's 2026. However, those transformers, we would have to appropriate those reserves, but we wouldn't spend them for 5 years. So although we have a tremendous amount of money appropriated right now, it's going to take time to be spent. And at the end of that entire shuffle, over, let's say, 5 years, we expect that our reserves will build back
Will be growing.
up. However, this really is it. We're done spending reserves in the electric department.
I feel like he's talking to me directly.
Yeah, I think so. I think you might want to just sit down.
Withstanding something outside our control, this is where we need to start building again.
No more cool ideas.
Any other questions? Thanks
No
so
more
much for
questions.
being
Thank
here.
you.
Thanks for hanging out too.
All night long.
All right, any questions about the library or the golf course for Rich?
Oh, no.
Good. All right, we'll move on to our next workshop, which is a code amendment, ordinance 24-09. Welcome back, Russ.
Craig's running a timer on me as well.
Yes,
And
I
I've burned my allotted time, so I will be
90
brief.
Although I'm not going to tell you, but you technically have like 34 minutes.
Yeah, we're not going to follow that schedule.
I'm so hungry. I skipped.
So these are subdivision amendments that align with recent state law changes. Procedurally, the city is basically following all these already. This just further defines them and codifies them and makes sure that everyone understands their role, whether they're land use authority and it's a judicial action or if it's legislative and so on. So I'm happy to go over those if you would like in further detail, but it's, as Mike would put it, it's cleanup work.
So this is all from 23 session.
Yes, they were adopted in the summer, but you were given an allotment of time to adopt these new codes, and so that's what we're
We
doing.
waited the whole lot.
Anything that anyone would be alarmed by that got passed by our state legislature in the
Well, I think what initiated the bill were some cities were approving subdivisions via the city council, and they became very political. I think they were smaller cities. And this just says, okay, the city council adopts the rules, but once the rules are adopted, then your planning commission or your staff act as, the judicial branch, and they approve the subdivision. So they don't become political in nature. It's either you meet the standards or you don't.
But I thought some councils in some smaller cities were also planning commissions,
Yeah, this
That
is not
they-
going to allow that anymore.
that they have
You
a
have to-
planning function.
I don't think so, I'm not 100% sure, but the state code says you do have to have a planning commission.
But I thought in smaller cities, it was allowed to be the
to wear
council.
2 hats,
Yeah.
basically.
I can double check and get.
Because
back
a-
with you.
Why do you want us to be the planning commission?
No, I don't want to. No, but what I was saying was, I would assume that that's the way I remember it anyway. Now, maybe it's changed a long time ago and I don't know, but I read that guide a long time ago, And I wonder, I understand that we have to comply with what the state legislature is saying, but at the same time, I wonder why they would allow one thing over here unless they've taken it away, and then tell them they can't do it.
I'll look at state code again, and make sure that there has to be a separate planning commission, separate apart from the council, but I'll double check.
Okay, thank you.
On this, did planning commission have any concerns?
No, they voted
No
unanimously in favor of these.
They do these all at the very end of the meeting, and they're all really tired by the time they get to these, and it's like, okay.
Well, I will say, according to this, we just passed
Keep our
something
energy
with
up.
Darren that helps us bring this back up to code, correct? That we needed water and sewer standards.
Yes,
So,
that was one of the checklist items.
items, okay. All right, any other questions for for us. So the road standards, the pavement width, that's, we're in compliance.
We're
with
already
that.
in compliance with that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Russ.
You're welcome.
Thanks for staying all night for that.
Okay, are there any other considerations for the council tonight?
It was exciting to see all those people at the ribbon cutting.
At the library?
Yesterday.
Yeah, it was.
At the
There's a
library.
lot of people there. I popped in today and it was still super busy.
And Karen said this morning at exec that yesterday at the library, she took more applications for new library cards from people outside of Logan, which they pay for, than
Wow.
she's taken in her whole time. I mean, she personally. I mean,
Wow.
So, sounds like there's a lot of interest.
Yeah, yeah, and thank you, Holly, for recognizing all of the donors. That was really, it was a nice way to kick things off. And I had a chance to talk to a couple of the Hanson sisters, and they were just thrilled with how the space turned out. It is just super cute. So neat.
And as I mentioned, I mean, truly, I mean, the wood and the trees in the children's area, I mean, that was on the chopping block to try and get down to our budget, which the council had approved. So again, I realized you as council, the city funded the larger chunk, but the donors helped us add the niceties.
And I'll say Ernesto and I did a really great job of helping with where the public art was supposed to go. So when you walk through it, and
You had a
you
big
see
say.
that, like, you're gonna go like, wow, that piece looks perfect. You're welcome.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There you go.
But, so did you walk up to the third floor and see the new frame on the Henry Moser? Yeah, it looks really,
Yeah.
And that view from the third floor.
It is awesome.
so.
It's fantastic.
It's great.
It was pretty even with the snow yesterday.
Yeah.
Great. Any other questions, comments? Yes?
I was gonna say, I guess since we're ahead of time and we have 29 minutes to kill before we let all these guys go home. I won't take 29 minutes. I talked to Paul briefly today. He's sneaking in and out back there. I know last year when you guys, I was gonna say we, but it wasn't me, were working on the transportation master plan, there was some discussion about updating bike and ped, and there was some discussion about trying to make those mesh better with
Yes.
the transportation master plan.
There was.
So I met with Paul briefly today, and he's going to be scheduling a meeting with community development and him and me, and if anyone else would like to come, I can get you on that list. Obviously, we can't.
Well, I know we
Yes,
One more
there.
person can come.
I know we did,
But I stuck my foot in on that one.
on the
Yeah.
transportation master plan, I know that they did do some referencing to other.
They did.
Other plans that we have so that they integrated a little bit better. Darren was really nice to do that.
Yeah, and some of the stuff that, and Paul said he'll send out an email once Mike gets back in town from his cruise or wherever he's playing. But hopefully we can set up a meeting and just start that discussion.
Thanks for jumping in.
So-
You are a bike pedestrian
Here I am.
representative.
Yeah, so if anyone else is interested in coming to that, let me or Paul know and we'll get you on the email invite and start that discussion.
Great.
I'm sure it'll take 2 years to do anything, but we'll start it.
Start
We'll
it.
start it. So, and obviously, you are always invited too. I was talking this direction,
Yeah.
but
So
I don't
not
mean
to-
to,
and so not-
you're not invited because you'll ruin something and tell me I can't spend money. So,
Yeah, reality sets in.
Reality check.
Yep. Great idea, Mike, but
you
there's no
go up
money.
and have your little treat section up there.
And also, just really quickly, on Friday,
Great idea, but there's no money.
on Friday, the Chamber of Commerce is going to be recognizing the city for a couple of things.
Yes.
As well as Mark.
As well as the Great Pumpkin Festival. So
Exciting.
that's a really nice, it's nice to be recognized by the community at large. And since the Chamber is the whole county, not just Logan, it's really nice that they're recognizing the work that's been done with the law.
And Amy's being recognized too.
Pardon?
Aren't you being recognized as well?
Aren't you the other
She's
board?
she's joining the board.
I'm joining. Ernesto was on it last year.
Do we get to vote on that?
So,
You don't get a vote on that. So if Amy's not going to pick up the gavel
She's
yet.
not busy enough already.
I know.
I did go to the US 91 walk on it yesterday while you guys were all at Historic Preservation and the library, and it was fantastic.
Good.
We walked
I
around
did not
town.
get invited to that one.
I think you were on the email list. I went.
I didn't get an email.
Melissa Dolly is on it, and she couldn't go, so she asked me to attend at her place. It was great. We walked around downtown and complained about traffic.
Yeah.
Filled out surveys about.
Positive ideas about pedestrians.
Bang the gavel before I. No. Yes, there was a lot of positive discussion. It seems like, and this is actually why I popped in and talked to Paul today, it seems like UDOT is very keen on doing some active transit downtown on Main Street. I stayed and talked to them.
Protected bike lanes.
They didn't want to say that, but it seems like that is high.
Well,
They said in
UDOT
May they will have 3 plans, and they will come to us with 3 plans. And Chris, what's his last name?
Chestnut.
What was that?
Yeah.
Chestnut, yeah,
Because
Chris
he-
Chestnut.
And that was probably his last meeting because he's going to a different role at UDOT.
Is he?
Yeah, which is
Well,
bad.
he seemed quite confident that there would be something in that aspect of protected bike lanes or increased pedestrian, which is why I kind of went to Paul and said, well, if UDOT's going to be doing something with Main Street in the next couple of years, we probably should make sure that we're
Well,
on the same page and building a network with them.
The interesting part about those meetings, because I've been to several of them already, as has Holly, but they are much more engaged than they used to be in multimodal transportation, not just cars.
I mean, anytime comments came up that was from neighboring cities, I won't say any names, of let's increase the speed limit all through downtown, it was very obvious that UDOT was like,
No, we're not going to do that.
that's not part of our plan.
I would say we were adamant that that should not be part of the plan.
Yeah,
When
and
it was
they seem very on board with that and very on board with increasing pedestrian and bike downtown.
We want downtown.
And so I
And
think,
they've lowered the speed limit north of us, haven't they?
I know they're planning on it.
I think it's down to 45,
Down to 50.
50.
Well,
I
I'd
shot
like to
myself
see
over.
45 all the way out to past the dog park, to that light past the dog park, because it's just getting busier and busier, and people just go as soon as before they hit the golf course.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was a great meeting. It's fun to walk around downtown.
Thanks.
Good.
Thanks for being there.
I'll go talk about bikes and pedestrians.
All right.
And sewer.
Rich, you have anything else
sewers.
that you'd like to add?
Nope.
Craig?
I'm good.
Anything else that you didn't properly get on the budget for us?
Oh, that's right, Brenda, so we'll not be here.
I know that happens so rarely that I will continue to tease you about it because it's the only time I'll probably
All
get it.
right, with nothing else?
After the
I love how you packed up before we even got to waste